WPIAL. Dwayne Thompson to my near right and to my far right, Victor Strader. You know them as numbers 21 on the far right and 22 right beside me. Catch them coming up next as the Gateway Gators invade U-Haul Stadium to take on the Penn Hills Indians. The Indians looking to go 10-0. This has been the Coach's Corner. I'm Bill Navarre. We'll see you again next week as it's the playoffs for the Penn Hills Indians. You've been watching Penn Hills Indians Football 95.
It's 5 and 4. Overall 3-3 in the conference, and they have improved over the last several years under Russ Gratton. And tough task last year, always the traditional season-ending game with Gateway, and last year Penn Hills at Gateway with a big victory. But much different here tonight because it's a chance that you dream of when you start practicing way back before the school year even starts. The El Perfecto season, 10-0.
If you remember back in week 3, the Indians took on the Seneca Valley Raiders, and they ran the wing T. The Gateway Gators will run the wing T tonight. The key, quarterback John Ruane, who seems to be in every play, every touchdown they make.
John Ruane can run the ball, he can throw the football, that wing T, and obviously it's his decision-making ability as whether to hand the ball off to the up man or pull it out and go into the option or turn it upfield himself. And he is the key to stopping the Gateway Gator offense. And if you look at the box scores week in and week out, or if you follow Quad A football, you know that John Ruane gets the job done for Gateway. And the key for Penn Hills, they'll be stopping him. And the key will also be on the defensive linemen to stay in their assignments. The option, the men's have to stop the option and worry about the other guys doing it. But the key will be definitely John Ruane.
Also one of the big keys tonight, the Penn Hills line. A couple of injuries this week. Jared Smith and Mike White hurt in practice. They will play tonight. You'll see how much they will and what kind of an impact they have in tonight's game. And that's a couple of big balls to lose.
Indeed it is. We talked about Penn Hills pretty much going injury-free all through this season. Last year they had their problems with injuries. But they've pretty much been able to avoid the big major injuries. And I'm sure the score of the game and the tempo of the game will dictate how much those two play.
One little sidelight for tonight's game. Dwayne Thompson needs 109 yards for 1,000. Victor Strader, 119. We might not see both of them do it, but we might see one get 1,000.
Well, that's the key. And one teams or several teams have one-star running back, but Penn Hills has two. So if you add those two together, 18, almost 1,900 yards, which would be a great season from one productive running back. Fortunately for Penn Hills, they're able to share the load in the backfield. Both TD, DT, and Victor Strader have had big games, each with three 100-yard rushing games. So those two are a big key in the offense, and that's another personal pride factor that's on the docket tonight. Of course, playoff statistics do count, so they'll have a chance next week also.
As you said, they will have a chance next week. They will be home next week in round 1 of the WPIAL playoffs. A win tonight, they will be the top seed. If they lose tonight, they could still get that #1 seed.
Indeed, but a win tonight assures that #1 seed. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's another thing that's on the line. Not only the 10-0 perfect season, but also the #1 ranking in the playoffs. And that's what you strive for, and that's what I'm sure they're out here tonight.
Certainly the Indians hoping to go 10-0 here in 1995. Coming up in a few minutes, we will see the Penn Hills Indians and the Gateway Gators, but sit back and relax and get a look at the 1995 seniors. You're watching Penn Hills Indians Football 95. And the 16 senior captains of the Penn Hills Indians leave the field after the coin toss. The Gateway Gators, 5 and 4 overall, 3 and 3 in a quaddies will receive. The Gators coming off a 27-7 win over McKeesport last week. The Indians 39-20 winners over the Kiski Cavaliers. The Indians 9-0 on the 1995 season, trying to make it a perfect 10-0 for the first time since 1979. And ironically, Bob, in that 1979 season, the Indians won the WPIAL Class 3A final over the Gateway Gators by a score of 3-0.
Ironies of all ironies. Two schools steeped in very much tradition, and the coaching staff has talked about that all week to the players. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It doesn't happen often. If you figure the number of teams in the WPIAL, which is over 100, and the number of teams that have a chance or are undefeated right now, it's only a handful, so it doesn't happen that often. And the brass ring is there. You just got to grab it.
Junior Dave Zakia with a long kickoff into the end zone for the touchback. David Porter picks it up and downs it, but that is unnecessary as soon as it goes into the end zone, it's a touchback. Penalty markers fly, the Gators clap, and it looks like there might be a personal foul call against the Indians, and alas, there is. So the Gateway Gators will start off from their own 35-yard line. Don't need to give this team much of a help. Led by Josh Rue, the sophomore, 632 yards on the ground, 8 touchdowns. John Ruane is the quarterback, 891 yards through the air, and Justin Davis has got 16 of Ruane's passes for 296 yards. They run the wing T. The Gators dressed in white jerseys, black pants, moving right to left. The Indians decked out in all red with the gold Florida State helmets. So Ruane, the quarterback, gives it to the first man through. That looks like Jay Bache. Oh, excuse me, Dan Purpura. Picks up a few. And these Gators will do whatever they can to confuse the defense. The Indians have to play a stay-at-home style of defense if they want any success at all against this Gateway Gators team. And it's Bache this time over the right side, met by a host of Indians. Picks up some tough yardage, maybe one, possibly two. But now a big third down for the Indian defense.
DiNatale and Connors able to bring Bache down, and you mentioned Rue. It is Rue and Ruane who get the job done offensively for the Gateway Gators. Those would be the two keys. We talked about Ruane in the opening, and Rue, as you mentioned, over 600 yards rushing in, the 8 touchdowns. And Gateway, as you said, the wing T, they'll send that wing back in motion most of the time. And depends on which way he goes is a key and tip-off to which kind of play will be run.
Justin Davis split to the near side. Ruane rolls to his left, rolls right. And the pass is completed for a Gateway first down. Falling across the 40-yard line is Josh Rue. Speak of the devil. And a big first down for the Gateway Gators as they move into Indian territory at the 37.
27 yards on the completion from Ruane to Rue. And Dwayne Thompson was there, double coverage, and it seems like Thompson did not see that football coming because Rue was right there and he had a chance to get in his way and cause some interference. Not interfere, but cause interference. He neglected to do so.
Bache in motion to the right. Ruane rolling to his right, looking for and overthrowing. Josh Rue caught the first pass. In fact, Rue just more or less dropped it to pass a bit behind him. Now second down for the Gators with 10:27 to go, first periods. No score. Penn Hills and Gateway. The Gators on the first possession of the football game.
As the Gateway's favorite receivers, or Ruane's favorite targets, actually, he likes to look a lot to his tight ends, and especially Bob Backus, who is number 82.
First man through is Purpura. He's hit at the line of scrimmage by Jeremy George. And also Hoggy Livingston following up. Give him a tough yard, but credit George for staying at home and meeting Purpura as he came through the line.
Yeah, George with the initial contact at Livingston. George, a linebacker, but actually in the defensive end position, and Hoggy Livingston, a true middle linebacker, and they do the job to bring Purpura down. Third down and 9, and the last third down and 5. That's the big 27-yard completion that has Gateway inside Penn Hills territory.
Ruane is throwing into the wind moving left to right, as you see it on the TV screen.
It is a biting wind.
And it is Rue in motion. Ruane rolls to his right, throws back underneath, pass completed, close to a first down. Being brought down near the markers, number 45, Jason Fetter. We'll see where they mark it. At this range, I'm sure the Gators will go for it, even if they are short.
Definitely will, but we will have a measurement. Fetter just came up from his slot position, came across Ruane, rolled white, Fetter followed him, and took the short pass and scrambled for the extra yardage. He's right close at the marker.
Gators will be about 3 inches short of the first down, I believe, but they will go for a fourth down. In fact, more, they're about half a yard. So the Gators not going anywhere this season. As far as the playoffs are concerned, have nothing to lose. They will go for it. Too long for a field goal kicking into the wind. At this point, it would be about a 45-yard field goal try. Russ Gratton, knock on wood, the head coach of the Gateway Gators, has never beaten the Penn Hills Indians, 0-5. So now it's Rue and Purpura in the backfield. And it's Rue with that ball. And he's met at the line of scrimmage. It looks like they're going to credit him with the first down. We'll see with the spot. And it looks like it will be good enough for the first down, but we shall see.
Yeah, they will take a look at it. Roos Forward Progress did get it. You mentioned Russ Gratton never beating Penn Hills in 5 tries. He has brought this program back to respectability, the Gateway program, not to the status that it was under legendary head coach Pete Antamarino. But Gratton stepped in and had some lean years the first couple years after replacing Antamarino, and he's brought them back to competitiveness anyway.
And they get it by the nose of the football. Last 2 seasons, the Gateway Gators have not scored a point on the Penn Hills Indians. 28-0 2 years ago, 48-0 last year. The overall series, 16 games between the 2 clubs, each team with 8 wins. So 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line for the Gateway Gators after just getting the first down. And Ruane will throw again as he rolls to his right, throwing into the end zone, and the ball overthrown. Intended receiver was Justin Davis. As we mentioned earlier, has hauled in 16 passes on the season.
Davis got back there, Damian Germany in single coverage, and Damian with a great game last week. Scored a touchdown offensively, and about a half minute later scored a touchdown defensively with his interception. It was his 3rd interception. He did get one later in the game, so he's tied for the lead interceptions in the Penn Hills secondary, the Penn Hills team anyway. He and Victor Strader have 4, and Ronnie Graham has 3. He's one behind those leaders.
Ruin motion, as the pitch comes to him. Ronnie Graham on the near side, he's blocked out of the play, and there goes Josh Rue over the 15 to 10. Needs a block, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's where he stopped. Nice running by Josh Rue, gets down to the 1-yard line. 1st and goal now for the Gators.
27 yards on the pickup, their 2nd longest play, and Rue's been involved in both of them. We talked about his running ability. Penn Hills needs to stop it, and they don't, and they're in perilous situation here. First time in over 2 years the Gateway has a chance to score a point against the Penn Hills defense, unless they get tough and knock a wonder. 1st and goal from the 1. Gateway looking pretty in their opening drive.
As we said in the pregame, this will not be an easy game for the Penn Hills Indians. Through again in motion, this time it's Purpura. He's hitting the backfield. We'll lose about 3. I'm going to credit him only about 2-yard loss, but he was mad as soon as he got the football.
Big-time stingy defense, and a whole host of Penn Hills Indians crashing through. Purpura loses 2, and that's a good start to a goal line stand. That'll bring up 2nd and goal from the 3. They try to go right up the middle on a short yardage dive, and Purpura was met and stacked and hit and dropped.
Eight minutes to go, 1st quarter. The Gators over 4 minutes of possession time on this drive.
Yeah, this is the 11th play. Would have started their own 20, but the personal foul call against the Indians moved it out to the 35, and they've been rolling ever since, the Gators have.
Flags fly as Ruane's going to roll to his right. It's an interesting formation for the Gators. 3 backs in an I formation.
And if that's against Gateway, that'll knock them back 5 more yards. That'll change your thinking. It is legal procedure.
So now it'll be 1st and goal from the 7-yard line.
Yeah, closer to the 8, and they had 3 feet to go. And now they're back to the 8-yard line, so that'll change your thinking. Some short yardage plays you might not run. You got to look to try to get to the outside, and obviously it brings a little bit of a more fancy pass pattern back in play.
On the previous play, it looked like the Gators were trying to go to the outside, perhaps a little pass to Rue coming out of the backfield.
Yeah, it looked like they were rolling right. Well, indeed they were, but it was blown dead by the penalty.
Rain looking for the quick look in. Nobody to throw to, and he's brought down from behind. The little piglet sneaks in and brings down Ruane.
Yeah, Corey Connors, the first man there, gets some help from Jeremy George and BJG Natali, but the sack another 2 yards. So that's 9 yards in losses, and they've run 1 play and then the penalty, and now the 2nd play goes for a loss of 2. So Penn Hills is doing it right defensively. A big stand so far. Now it's 3rd and goal from the 10.
The Gators with a big line of their own. Obviously, they were trying to match up big on the Hogs, Mike White and Damon Gibson, but Corey Connors coming from the far side, able to sneak in and get into Ruane. And Ruane will roll to his right. This pitches it back to Rue. Rue looks for some running room, and he's going to be caught by Gibson. Damon Gibson and Mike White, the big Hogs, stop Rue on the roll to the right on the pitch. And now 4th and goal from the 7th.
Yeah, Rue picked up about 2.5, and finally some forward progress for Gateway. But 4th and 7 now, and let's see what they do. They do bring out their field goal kicker. So they're going to try to get some points early. And their kicker's number 12, Sam Wagner.
Of course, don't forget who is the holder as well as Ruane.
About a 24-yard attempt.
Hold, place down, the kick is up. Definitely high enough, and it is good. So for the first time in 3 years, the Gateway Gators put points on the scoreboard against the Indians. And Bob, I think it was a wise move for the Gators to go for the field goal, at least come away with some points after having the first and goal from the 1. If they were to come away with nothing, that would really have lifted the Penn Hills Indian defense.
I agree with you, Bill. I think early in the game, it is a key to get some points. And they had that offense, held that football for 6 minutes and 1 second. Big drive, and I said aided obviously by the start. Penalty, but a 14-play drive. The game was good. Actually, well, 60. They drove it 64 yards, a little bit over that, but they went backwards somewhat. We'll give them 58 yards on the drive, but I do agree, Bill. I think a smart move because now 3 points is a little bit of a confidence factor.
So now we'll see how the Indian offense will respond. As they take over with 5:59 to go.
I'll tell you, in the first quarter, Penn Hills has done a great job all year. They've outscored opponents 66-14. As a matter of fact, in the first half, Penn Hills had been outscoring opponents 131, and it's now 34 for opponents, so they've had the lead.
Kickoff taken at the 15-yard line by Victor Strader, who looks to get to the outside. Victor Strader cutting back to the inside, and he's hammered at the 40. And Victor Strader puts life back into the Indians just like that.
Excellent field position. Will give him the 41. Came from the 14, so 27-yard return. And number 85, Charles Fallon, who plays tight end and defensive end, was the last man there. Strader tried to stop, move, and cut back to the inside. Fallon made a nice tackle, but great field position for the Indians at their own 41 to try to answer that Gateway opening drive.
Clock running, 5:38 to go first quarter. The Indians down by a field goal. First time they've been down 3-0 this season. Livingston and Strader in the I formation. Graham in motion as a blocker. There he comes, and there's Victor Strader hammered in the backfield. Nice play by Vincent Scala. He's big.
Yeah, Scala is a big lineman, doesn't have great speed, but he has nice speed and some good quickness. 6'1", 270. And he is a strong one in there, and he showed it right there, knifed into the backfield. And hello, how do you do to Victor Strader? Loss of 1, second and 11.
This is probably the best line size-wise that matched up against the Indians this season. And this time it's Victor Strader busting across the left side. Picks up 4. So now he has 2 carries and 3 yards. And now a big third down for the Indians. Call it 3rd and 7. Short 7. Week 10 of the regular season. Playoffs begin next week right here at Andrew Uhas Stadium.
Yeah, we'll speak later in the game about possible opponents and possible clinchings tonight in the WPIAL.
Goes TDDT in motion. Lenny Gilmer with a quick pass to Ronnie Graham, slanting across for a first down. Gilmer's favorite target, Ronnie Graham, picks up 10. That's enough for the Indian first down. Give him 11 yards on the pickup. The Indians now in Gator territory.
You call for 44, you got to give them 12. And the passing attack for Penn Hills has improved steadily. They still do not throw a ton, but they've been going 2 of 4, 3 of 5, 3 of 4, and they've been improving. You said the favorite target for Gilmer is Ronnie Graham.
And there's Dwayne Thompson, cuts across the right side. Flag flies in. The only 2 Indians in the area are Thompson and White. And looks like it might be a face mask. No, it is a hold.
Hold against the Indians.
If I go, should probably go against White, who's the only lineman there amongst 8 Gators.
Well, it's also good credit for the game. The spot of the flag is about the 43. That's where they'll mark it off from. But the second penalty against Penn Hills puts him in a first and long situation. And we talked about Graham being the favorite target. He has 6 catches. That's number 7 on the year. 123 Penn Hills receiving yards.
So we'll see what the Indians do now on a 1st and 19. As Ronnie Graham splits wide, left twins to the near side. The backs now go to the line, and looks like Gilmer most obviously will throw the football unless it's a keeper, and it is. And he slips after picking up just a couple. Flags fly. My guess is a Gator jumped on Gilmer after he slid.
Dead ball, personal foul. You got that right.
So Lenny slips sliding, gets another extra 15 yards.
Well, Gilmer, when he broke through the line, was hesitant which way to go. Then he saw a big opening to the left and tried to cut it back, and he slipped to the turf. And indeed, after he was down, the Gateway Gator dove on him, and that's a no-no on anyone, especially a quarterback. And Gilmer had lost his feet, but the Gateway penalty is 15 yards and another first down for the Indians.
The rule in high
No,
school...
it won't be. Excuse me, it won't be a first down.
Just short of the
Just
first
short
down.
of the first down.
The rule in high school is the same as in college. Once the knee touches the turf, you're down. Nobody has to touch you. You're down. If somebody hits you after that point, more often than not, it's called a personal foul.
It's second down. Scoreboard has first down, but second down because it was a dead ball foul.
We'll call it second and 3 as Dwayne now picks up the first down, so the point's moot. The Indian drive is alive. So the Gators and the Indians trade personal foul calls. I think the Indians got the bigger break on their call from the Gators. Victor Strader off the right side, crosses the 30, spins over to the 25, down to the 24-yard line. Close to another Indian first down.
Yeah, right there. Strader again. We talk about it game in and game out. He and Thompson are not big, but they are strong, and they got that great leg drive and also great incentive. And Strader 9 yards after he breaks off the tackle, and it picked up all on desire, determination on his own. Second and short for the Indians.
Called second and a yard. We'll see if perhaps the Indians go end zone as Damian Germany splits wide to the left. Dinatale and Graham at the ends.
Graham in the backfield.
And Victor Strader cut to the right, but he went backwards. Now it'll be third down for the Indians.
Now official timeout. They're shooing the Indians and their coaching staff and their players back to the sideline. Strader will get nailed with a 2-yard loss on that run.
2 minutes to go, first quarter. The Indians trail the Gators by 3. They're a very quick first quarter, Bob.
Well, it helps when your opening drive, it's just 6 minutes in possessions, and now the Indians took over with 5:59, so they have also run 4 minutes off the clock.
Ronnie Graham in the backfield as they give to Dwayne. And Thompson crosses the 25 to the 24-yard line. It'll be fourth and a yard, perhaps. I'm sure the Indians will go for it. Although the wind will be at Dave Zakia's back. At this point, it'll be about a 41, 42-yard field goal, but the Indians will go for it.
Picked up the 2 yards that Strader lost. You would have put, you definitely have to go for it, but you take into condition to win, and the field is not in that great of shape. It is a bit muddy and slick, and we have our first really cold snap of the year.
And it's Dwayne Thompson busting across the line for the first down. Thompson down to the 19.
It was that close, Bill, to seeing the end zone once again. Pay dirt, if you will.
I ran into Mr. Thompson and Mr. Key.
Did you hurt him?
He was picking up
the original TDDT.
That's right. He was picking up the new Thompson sweatshirt from the Penn Hills Sports Shop, where we picked up our WPIAL or Quad East champions sweatshirts. And again, Scala hammers Strader in the backfield.
And I'm telling you what, Bill, Vincent Scala is just destroying this line of scrimmage right now, and Victor Strader's got to say, what are you doing? I'm number 21, and I got a 71 implanted on my chest. He'll be second and 13 for the Indians.
Well, Victor didn't look too happy when he came up.
Would you be happy?
He sauntered back. He's probably wondering if he was going in the right direction after that hit by
6'1"
Scala.
and 270 pounds crashing into him. I don't think he would be that happy.
So it's Hoggy up, Vic back, and the first quarter comes to an end. So after 1, Gateway 3, Penn Hills nothing. You're watching Penn Hills Indians football 95. Second quarter about to begin as the Indians face with a 2nd and 12. driving now on the Gateway Gators, answering their opening drive. And Gilmer rolling to his right. He's going to keep it. He's going to throw it. He's still on his feet. Lenny Gilmer does a nice job to turn a loss into a gain. So instead of third and extra long, now it's just third and long.
Gilmer picks up 4. Good individual effort. Went back and pump faked, and luckily brought the ball down and didn't lose it, and it broke a tackle, which would have dropped him at the line of scrimmage, which was the 22, but he forges forward to about the 18, so he picks up 4. And third, and we're going to call it a long 8 for the Indians.
Lenny sometimes makes the mistake of carrying that ball like the loaf of bread up in the air, but he did a nice job of pulling it back in and made a nifty little play. Thompson in motion to the near side. And Gilmer gets sucked under by who else?
That's right.
Scala. So now another 4th down for the Indians. 4th and close to 10 from the 19. Oh, 10 and a half. And again, the Indians will go for it. This time they would be kicking into the wind should they try a field goal. So the 37-yarder would be much harder on Dave Zakia. So the Indians will go for it. Beat J.D. Natale and Damian Germany split to the right.
Yeah, they need to get to the 9, or just over the 9 for a first down.
Graham split left. In motion is Thompson. They're going to pitch it to Ronnie over the middle. Nice coverage by the Gators. Like Josh Rue. And it was. I think the Gators were looking Graham all the way.
Pass was high, and on a night like tonight, it's going to be tough to hold those in, especially in good coverage by Rue, and Graham couldn't tuck it under. So the Gateway starts at their own 20, where they would have started their opening drive if not for the personal foul penalty. We'll see if the Indians defense, which had picked up some momentum on that goal line stand, and did give up a field goal, however, see if they continue to play well.
It's Rue again over the left side, sucked under by the team photo. Might get a yard. Might get 2. They do mark it back for the yard. Moreno, what looks like a busted play. Does a nice job to pick up 6 as some teammates help him along, pushing the pile. But it looked like it was intended for either Rue or Perper on the left side, but Rowan kept it. The Gators now with the 3rd and 2. So things going right in the first half for the Gateway Gators. Lead the Indians by a field goal with 9:18 to go first half. The Gators on their 2nd possession of the game. It's Rue in motion, and it's Rue sucked under by Garrett Livingston at the line of scrimmage. Livingston grabs Rue in the backfield, pulls him down. Now 4th down for the Gators. And they bring in the punting unit.
So good defensive stand. Livingston came from his left inside linebacking position and got Rue before he could get that leg drive going. Dropped him right at the line of scrimmage, and now Gateway forced the punt for the first time. And again, Penn Hills should be looking at pretty good field position, trailing in this game early, second quarter, by a score of 3-0.
Thompson and Strader down to field the punt. Zachary Tano, the high short kick. And Thompson lets it bounce at the 40. It's a Gator bounce to the 32-yard line, and that's where the Indians will start anew. 8:24 to go, second quarter. The Indians down 3-0. I see some Riverview Raider fans in attendance tonight.
Veronians.
Oakmontians.
Oakmontians.
Well.
Or thereabouts.
The credit the Riverview Raiders after losing Steve Dapper to an ankle injury earlier in the season. A lot of folks wrote them off, but the Raiders 9-0, back-to-back conference champions. And it's Victor Strader over the left side, gets to the outside, and Victor Strader Slips in Gator country at the 46. We'll mark it at the 45. Nice running by Vic. Goes from the 33 of the Indians out to the 46 of the Gators.
21 yards and another first down for the Indians. And Strader had that one last cutback in mind, but the bad turf, or the slippery turf, did him in. But a big pickup, and once again, Penn Hills is pushed into Gateway Gator territory.
Germany split wide to the right. And again, it's Victor Strader over the right side, cutting back to the inside. And Victor Strader leaps over one tackler.
Tell you what, though, he goes to the outside instead of towards the inside of the middle field. He comes to the near sideline.
He's gone.
He's gone.
It's easy for us to say from up here. We don't have Scala in front of us,
of course
blocking out the sun. But he gets down to the 29.
I'm sure they're very happy with 38 yards on 2 carries for Victor Strader.
That's a nice yards per carry average. First man through this time is TDDT, and he gets another. Excuse me, no, that's Hoggy.
That's that quick burst up the middle. It works very effectively. Longest run of the season for Hoggy Livingston, and he was untouched.
That he was. Figure the Hoggy hasn't been used much of the year, but when he does, he busts a big play because the defense is usually looking to either Dwayne or Victor in the backfield. And the Indians popped it through with Hoggy again. As soon as he busts across the line, he's gone. 29 yards, 6 points. The Indians now look to go up by 4.
3 plays for Penn Hills. They go 67 yards in 1 minute and 7 seconds.
Georgia's snap is down by Strader, and the kick is good. Dave Zakia tacks on the extra point. 7:17 to go, first half. Penn Hills 7, Gateway 3.
I mentioned his touchdown run for Livingston. That is his second. His 7 to 17 yards was his longest run up to date. But Hoggy with a 29-yarder. 29 carries now for Hoggy on the season. He carried a little bit more last season, 132 yards, and he gets the first score for Penn Hills on the evening. And after the opening field goal by Gateway, Penn Hills with 2 nice drives. This one only 3 plays. The first one 14 plays, but more importantly, the 7-3 lead on the scoreboard.
I think Garrett Livingston might be the secret weapon for tonight. Both Strader and Thompson close to 1,000 yards for the evening, each needing to get a little over 100 yards to break the millennium mark. I'm sure the Gators are thinking that they're going to be giving the ball to the big guns, Strader and Thompson.
Well, Bill, the key was, in my eyes on that play, the 2 handoffs to Strader were delay calls. They faked to the up man, got the Strader, and delay off tackle. That was a quick handoff. Boom. A quick burst up the middle to Hoggy Livingston. Just that quickly, he was in the end zone.
Dave Zakia's kick, short. Taken at the 20-yard line by Jason Fetter.
That's why,
Fetter
obviously,
to the 29.
That's why you see that Fetter's an up man. Because he didn't really display that great running ability. Obviously, there for his blocking ability. He has good hands, but he ran up to the 30 and then really didn't know what to do once he got into traffic.
So now we have 7 minutes to go in the half. The Gators with their 3rd possession as the half is just flying by. Wayne's going to throw as he rolls to the left. There goes Dina Talley, looking deep, and the ball overthrown. Pass intended for Justin Davis.
And again, single coverage by Damian Germany.
The Indian secondary has come a long way this season.
It was very, very much exploited in the Plum game, and teams have been... They've had limited success, but Penn Hills has made some adjustments, and they've done a nice job compensating for some inefficiencies in the secondary. And ever since that Plum game, they've been tinkering and toying with it, and it's been effective. It's holding teams now where they should be.
It's really become solid once they put Cherish Britt into the free safety spot. Again, it's Rue this time. Gets by the tackle, Ronnie Graham in the backfield, and Rue's off to the races. Dwayne Thompson saves the TD as Rue gets into Indian territory at the 37.
33 yards.
Rue broke the tackle. Ronnie Graham in the backfield.
65 yards rushing so far in the first half for Rue, and Bill, Penn Hills defense has not allowed a 100-yard game all season.
As we knock on the
It's Wood.
Okay, pressed Wood in the press box.
If I were at work, it would be for Micah.
I don't think it's that.
But we have Wood, and as I said, the closest they've came, a team has come to rushing to 100 yards. LeVar Arrington's big game against North Hills, and that was mostly all in one run.
Again, it's Rue. This time he crosses over the 35 down to the 34. Didn't look like much, but he picks up close to 4. Again, the Indians, the conference champions in the Quad East. Section 3, if you will.
Yeah, into 68 yards rushing and the passing. Rue has now 105 all-purpose yards in the first half. And the big 27-yard reception also.
And Ruane had nowhere to go on that one. White and DiNatale stop him after picking up 3. Should have been brought down in the backfield, it appeared. Credit Ruane with a nice job to get the ball over the line of scrimmage. Whether it's Wood or Formica, it's definitely cold.
Yeah, last night about midnight, we were at 68 degrees, and we're expecting a low of 28 tonight. We're rapidly approaching that, I think. Big 40-degree swing. It's fall weather. It's football weather as we enter the last week and the playoffs on the cusp.
Rue is stopped this time by DiNatale at the 30. So now 4th and 3 for the Gators. Nice play defensively by B.J. DiNatale. Hands, as they call them.
Gateway will go for it.
Now 4th down for the Gators. Jason Fetter in the backfield. Used as a blocker. Pass completed out to the near side. First down, Gators. Justin Davis hauls it in. And Ruane did a nice job to get the pass away. He had several Indians in his face.
7 yards on the completion, and he needed 3. And Ruane's third completion is a big one. 4th down conversion for the Gators, keeping the drive alive to the Penn Hills 23-yard line.
Well, Davis made sure he got over the first down mark. Got past it. Passed it by a couple. And again, it's Rue over the left side, cutting back in, and it's Hoggy Livingston grabbing him. Looks like for no gain. Hoggy Livingston and Jeremy George. I think the Indian coaching staff found a diamond in the rough when they moved Livingston from the secondary to the linebacking position. It's really been solid there.
Indeed he has. Plays that middle linebacking spot alongside Ronnie Graham, and those two are studs defensively.
Again, it's Rue in motion. This time the fake. Ruane rolling to the right, looking downfield, and pass is picked off.
There's our man. Nope, it's Charis Britt.
Charis Britt. The first interception of the year, I believe, for Charis Britt at the 14-yard line. A second as he pulls it in. So Charis Britt, 2 interceptions on the season since being put into the secondary. And none so big. The latest one is always the biggest one, Bob. And the Indians take over after stopping this Gator drive.
Full complement of timeouts. They went 67 yards in 3 plays last time. Let's see when they get the start here.
Dwayne Thompson this time being introduced to Scala. Vincent Scala.
Thompson picked up 3. Scala's done the job. He's only junior. And we said he's big. He's not that fast, whereas Penn Hills linemen are quick. Scala has some quickness, but he's proved his salt here in the first half anyhow. He's done a great job for Gateway, and obviously they're going to have to make some adjustments to either run away from him or double team him.
Simon Hoggy Livingston over the left side with some yards. Livingston gets the Indian first down and gets the ball out to the 30-yard line. A little bit of breathing room now.
42 yards on 2 carries for Hoggy.
Nice yards per carry. And again, there it was, the quick handoff. Split backs for the Indians. Livingston and Thompson pitch to Dwayne. And Dwayne holds on to the ball as he gets another Indian first down. Ball almost squirted out. But Thompson picks up 12, the first down, stops the clock with 1:47 to go in the half.
And Billy, sometimes this rushing attack is downright scary. Penn Hills takes their first time out, they'll have 2 left, but we've seen Livingston pick up the slack tonight. We've seen Graham with some big runs. And of course, you cannot say enough about Victor Strader, Dwayne Thompson, and a direct result of this success of the running game. And overall, as a team, Penn Hills has rushed for over 2,000 yards, 2140 coming into tonight's game. You've got to credit the big hogs on the offensive line. Mike White, Damon Gibson, Kevin McCoy, Teddy Fitzpatrick, Jared Smith, Corey Connors when he's been in there. Ronnie Graham is doing blocking from his tight end. Dean Italian George, who as ends block more than they catch in this offense. They've done a great job all season long. And you don't notice it. You look in the stats and you see a running back with all those yards and you're going to say, well, he's having a great season. But those men up front are directly responsible for that.
Of course, don't forget that seldom used blocking back the Indians had last week.
That's right. Big number 65. Damon Gibson, and he either blocks from the backfield, which is scary because he's a good enough blocker from coming from a 3-point stance, let alone with a running start.
Graham in motion, Livingston and Thompson in the eye, and it's Dwayne. And Dwayne picks up 5. And Indians in a short yardage formation.
Just trying to burst it out. If he can get through that line of scrimmage and maybe make a couple moves, but could pick up a 5, a minute and a half on the turning clock. Penn Hills with 2 timeouts, and we'll see how they manage the clock.
And again, it's Thompson, busts over to the left side. And Dwayne's off to the right side. 25, 21, man the beat. Touchdown, Thompson. Oh, my. TDDT gets number 15.
Woo-hoo. That's called clock management right there. 53 yards for TDDT, not his longest run of the season. But Who Boys in the end zone once again. And rushing-wise for Dwayne, his 14th touchdown, rushing the football. And, whew.
To quote Harry Carey, holy cow.
So Penn Hills doing it this time in a minute and 43.
So it's number 14, and Dwayne and Victor Strader calls a fire, looking to throw into the end zone, and he does.
And it's caught.
It's caught.
But not in.
And it is. Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
The hands go up on the far side of the field. Livingston caught it.
Did it make it in?
I admit I didn't have the binoculars on that one.
Penn Hills, it took them 3 plays to go 67 yards. This time, 5 plays to go 86 yards. They scored with a minute 18 left in the second.
The official on the far side of the field had the hands up.
Didn't go all the way up, though, if you notice. He was unsure.
He had him up.
He was unsure. Come on. I didn't have the binoculars on it either, but give Strader credit because he was.
I didn't get the ball.
Strader was like parallel to the turf when he threw that football.
So Dwayne Thompson needed 109 yards to break 1,000. Well on his way. Of course, when you jaunt off 47,
53.
That gets you halfway there. Has 53 so far in the game?
He jumped it off 53 yards.
Oh, that's right. It's on the other 47. I'm sorry. So the Indians in a barn burner. 13-3. They lead. 1:18 to go. First half. Sakita kick off.
They showed some character, Bill. They could have very easily panicked with Gateway at the 1. I'll get back to that comment.
Kickoff taken by David Porter at the 15. Gets it out to the 27, and the Gators will take over with 1:13 and 3 timeouts.
Could have very easily panicked having Gateway with a 1st and goal at the 1 on the opening drive. They got top defensively, held them to a field goal, and they still could have said, hey, we're down 3-0, we're in for a game. But they came out confidently on offense and picked up some big runs. A nice opening drive, but it turned the ball over on downs. But the next two, 8 plays on both drives, 3 plays and then 5 plays for 2 touchdowns.
Gators appear happy to just let the clock run. They're in no hurry to get to the line of scrimmage. We're under a minute. And the ball was fumbled.
That was motion on the offense.
I was wondering why everyone was sort of standing around.
No, it took them an hour and a half to get the play off, and it was Chinese fire drill at that, so another penalty. And I think Gateway will just try to get out of here unscathed in the last 48 seconds.
Yeah, 48 seconds. The clock will not start until the snap. Oh, they look like they're going to roll the clock. I thought after a penalty,
It wasn't a dead ball penalty, though. Penalty stopped the clock, but it was not in a dead ball situation.
Oh, okay.
And now they take timeout, so that will stop the clock.
That's why you're the best color man in football, Bob Workwis. So 42 seconds to go, the Gators call a timeout. So unless they're actually going to try to do something, I figured they would just let the clock run. They could have actually had the clock run out by not even getting a play. Just get a delay and let it run again.
Well, a delay would stop the clock. Because that would stop the clock because it would take all that time off. But if you snap it with 1 second, see the clock was running on that penalty. So then they get a fresh set on the play clock. Nonetheless, I think they would just want to get out of halftime. We saw Penn Hills, the only turnover on the interception of the ruined pass by Charis Britt. Penn Hills took 5 plays to turn that into points. And imagine what they would do with an interception up this close to the Gateway goal line. Although time is definitely now a factor with 42 seconds.
Each team with 2 timeouts. And Ruane will throw as Di Natale coming on the blind side. Hits Ruane, but he gets the ball away. Overthrows Justin Davis out at midfield. But B.J. Di Natale was barreling in on Ruane's blind side. Now the Gators with 2nd down in 36 seconds. I'm sure suppose they're going to try to go deep again.
Draw play to Rue, and then that'll end the half, unless Penn Hills calls a timeout.
We shall see.
Rue's in the slot, so here he comes in motion.
It's a pitch to Rue over the left side. Jeremy George does a nice job to fight off the blocks. And Gibson comes in for the kill. And a timeout is being called by the Indians. Brilliant ball, brilliant.
All except for the draw part.
Well, you had the right ball carrier, the right situation. Indians
Now,
obviously
with Penn Hills with another timeout, even with another run,
they're going to make the Gators punt.
And they're going to look for a punt block. More than a return, I would think they would go for a block this deep in the Gator territory. Should Gateway throw that would aid Penn Hills and save that timeout, but that's what the strategy is. And it's a bonus if you could steal points no matter how many right before a half. They have a 10-point lead right now, but that's obviously what Penn Hill's strategy is. But as you know, Bill, should we get the 4th down in the punting situation, rush the punter from an angle. You talk about it, if you come straight on and you miss the punt block, it's a roughing the penalty call. But if you come at an angle, you miss them. And that's why you work on special teams in practice. And these situations specifically, you work on both offensively and defensively. You work on situations under 2 minutes, under 1 minute, because the strategy and the thinking changes. It's more panicky if you're offensively, I think. Defensively is more of an adrenaline rush.
So 28 seconds to go in the half. And here goes the draw, this time to Rue. And Rue gets a couple. And the Indians do call the timeout with 20 seconds to go. So the Gators will have to punt. We'll see if the Indians put anybody down too deep to receive. I'm sure they will at least put one. Get some kind of return.
Yeah, Gateway, this will be their 2nd punt of the football game. They scored the field goal on their first drive and also turned it over. The punter is
Zachary Tano.
And his first effort wasn't that great, but did get a good roll. And I'm sure his key is just to get the ball and get rid of it in a hurry. Thompson is back about his own 40. That's where he'll try to get it, but Tano will try to avoid the block. Penn Hills has one punt block on the season, Ronnie Graham, against Seneca Valley, and he returned it 21 yards for a touchdown.
Did they not block one against McKeesport?
Nope, they swarmed the punter over on a bad snap. And they were mighty close several other times, but no official punt blocks. Although
except for Ronnie Graham,
which
sealed the victory.
Yes, it did indeed. That was a 7-zip game when
10 minutes of line, and here they come. Tano does a nice job to get the ball away. Ball gets a Penn Hills bounce at the 42, and the Gators down it with 10 seconds. We'll see if the Indians let the half run out, or if they do run a play. My guess is with the 10-point lead, they'll just let the clock run out and take it to the locker room. The Indians will get the ball to start the second half.
And I agree. I think that's what Penn Hills will do. The clocks will start when they set the sticks, and no timeouts. There it goes, and that'll be it.
That is great. It is the right call. It really is. You don't want to come up, draw a play.
Well, they hustle to the line, but not enough time.
I just try to make it look good. But you come up, if you throw an interception, do a turnover, instead of going in 13-3, you might go in 13-10 or 13-11.
And some momentum would switch.
Yes, definitely. So the Indians do the right thing, kill the clock, and take the 10-point lead into the locker room. After one half, Penn Hills 13, Gateway 3. The Penn Hills Marching Band coming up next. You're watching Penn Hills Indians Football 95.
It's Penn Hills Indians Football 1990.
Second half action about to begin. The Penn Hills Indians 13, the Gateway Gators 3. Bob, the Indian running game alive and well in the first half.
Alive and well to the tune of 154 yards out of the 166 for the Indians. 86 on 8 carries for TDDT, including the 53-yard touchdown run. 7 carries, 45 yards for Victor Strader. 3 carries, 42 yards for Garrett Livingston. And Lenny Gomer picked up a single solitary yard and 12 yards passing for Penn Hills. Gateway 123 total yards, 81 rushing, 70 of those for Josh Rue. Passing, John Moraine 3 of 8 for 42 yards.
The Indians will take the second half kickoff. Dwayne Thompson deep, flanked by Damian Germany, and Victor Strader up back. Jeremy George standing at the 18-yard line. See what the Gateway Gators do. Obviously the first possession for the Indians, very huge as far as the Gateway Gators are concerned. Any points put on by the Indians will make it that much tougher for the Gators to get back into it.
And not counting the last possession with Penn Hills with 3 possessions in the first half, scoring on the last 2 of those. Up to 10 seconds where they just let the clock run out before the half.
We won't count that one. Kickoff will be taken by Germany at the 6-yard line. Fumbles it, picks it back up at the 10. And he got a blocker up the middle, but he's going to be sucked under at the 20. And the Indians will take over there with 11:53 to go. Third quarter. The Indians, the 1995 Quad East champions. The Plum Mustangs, runners-up in the conference. The Indians will play at home next Friday night. We'll get more into the playoff situation, we'll say, in the fourth quarter, maybe when the game is perhaps.
Yeah, we'll quickly tell you the qualifiers. Penn Hills and Plum from the Quad East. From the Quad North, Seneca Valley is clinched first. Quad South, Penn Trafford is clinched first. And the Quad West, Upper St. Clair first, Ringgold second. Those are all in the playoffs, those teams.
Strader carries the pile ahead for about 2 yards. Victor Strader's yardage tonight, much of it has been very, very difficult going. The Gateway Gator defense not allowing much. A couple of big plays for the Indians tonight, none of which bigger than Dwayne Thompson's 53-yard touchdown run. Put the Indians up 13-0. I formation for the Indians. In motion is Graham. And it's TDDT piling, jumping over the pile.
How was that?
It was picks up 3.
3rd and 5 now for the Indians. And Dwayne Thompson will get 89 yards now on 9 carries. But you mentioned Strader's yardage, tough yardage. He has 47 yards, but 38 of those came on 2 consecutive runs in the second quarter.
Which set up the Garrett Livingston touchdown run. And again, it's Victor Strader. And he'll be caught just short of the first down. Picks up 4. It'll be 4th and 1, and the punting unit comes in. Dave Zakia.
Smart, safe play. First punt of the evening for Dave Zakia.
So big defensive stand for the Gators. I'll get the ball back, trailing by 10. So we approach 10 minutes to go here, third quarter. Still a lot of time left here in the second half. Just the first possession of either team in the half, and that of the Indians, who are now punting. Zakia punts to the right to keep the ball away from Josh Rue. Ball bounces at the 43, gets a neutral hop. They'll dive there at the 42. The Gators will take over in great field position. With 9:41 to go, third quarter, the Gators trailing by 10. They need some points.
Indeed, they do. Their first drive of the game was an excellent drive, 14 plays. They got to the 1. The penalty and a couple losses pushed them back, and they got their only 3 points on that drive. But since then, they've pretty much been stymied. Twice they punted, and sandwiched in between those 2 punts, the cherished Brit interception.
Rue in motion to the left. Moran gives a Purpura. We haven't heard much from him in the first and at all this game. Picks up a yard. Last week we were wearing shirt sleeves out in Vandergrift to Kiski. Beautiful evening. Tonight we fear frostbite.
Could be worse. We could be in Cleveland, and they're expecting 4 to 6 inches of snow. Could happen to a nicer town, but We definitely have gotten the fall weather that has avoided us throughout the month of September.
Well, rain bobbles a snap. It's on the turf. It looks like,
I think Penn Hills they had a hand on it.
it looks like rain came falling back down on it.
No,
The
Penn
Indians
Hills
come
had
up flying away with
a
it.
hand on it first.
And they do. Who is it? The Pidlick comes out. He doesn't have the ball. Who's underneath there? Is it Gibson? It is. And he comes up holding the football. Not mistakenly with the end of quarter signal.
He read my mind. For DeJuan Gibson, his second fumble recovery on the season, and Penn Hills converted the last turnover into points. This time, excellent field position at the Gateway 43-yard line.
DeJuan Gibson, a big nose tackle, number 65 in the program. Number 65 in your hearts. It's his jersey number, that's why. Great kid, committed to Pitt, and there he is in the backfield. And there goes Thompson over the right side, crosses down over the 40, down to the 36, maybe 37. Coaching staff looking determined to get points on the board. Hopefully, they're trying to get some of these starters a rest to save the health.
Yeah, he talked
a lot
about
of these kids.
Mike White with banged up a little bit, and also
Jared Smith.
Jared Smith is something we talked about. It'd be good to get those guys more of a permanent rest.
Thompson fights for 3 more. Now 3rd and 2. Thompson comes out, Strader and White come in. Also coming out, Sean Booterbaugh, replacing Gibson in the offensive line. But it's Strader with the room up the middle, and there goes Victor Strader off the 10-yard line. First and goal, Indians from the 5 is Victor Strader. Picks up 29 yards and a first down for the Indians. And Big Vic is on the stick.
Inside the sticks, actually, to the 10. First down of the second half for either team. And Penn Hills sit pretty. First and goal at the 5.
So it's Gibson and Graham still in the backfield. In front of Strader. And there goes Strader behind Gibson and Graham. Fights his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Penn Hills. Victor Strader, 5 yards, picks up the last 34 yards for the Indians. It gives the Indians a 16-point lead as Dave Zakia comes in to tack on another. No, the Indians will go for 2. Indians trying to make it a 3-touchdown lead. Of course, an extra point would give them a 3-touchdown lead as well. That'll be 2 and a field goal. Never mind. This time it's Dwayne Thompson, and he doesn't get it. Indians one up the middle, behind the Hogs. Thompson held out of the end zone. So the Indians have the 19-3 lead with 6:37 to go 3rd quarter. And I don't think we'll see the starters come out just yet.
Well, Penn Hills touchdown drives. 3 plays, 5 plays, 4 plays. They're doing it effectively.
This is the mark of efficiency.
Strader caps that one with a 5-yard touchdown run. Took him just under 2 minutes, about 1:55 to go 43 yards. And for Victor Strader, rushing-wise, his 5th touchdown on the season.
So a couple extra points as well. A couple conversions for
2-point
Strader.
conversions. Point-wise, totally, Strader now with 42, which is second on the team to Dwayne Thompson's 90.
.90 points on the season. Mario Lemieux-like numbers.
Yeah, but that's like a week for Mario, the way he's going lately. Went to the game, or watched the game, the half of it on Wednesday, and he's outstanding.
No doubt about it. Kiski is kickoff high and short. Taken by David Porter. Taken at the 25, will bring it out to the 37.5. Oh, to 38. The Gators will take over there, trailing by 16.
Well, ever since the Keysport game, and more specifically in the Central game, Penn Hills, their coaching staff, I know, has already had this attitude, but their players, and I'll get back to that comment here after this play.
Porpora, the first man through, picks up 2.
I've sensed a business-like attitude and determination where they've just been focused, and they're doing the job. Nothing out of the ordinary spectacular, no rah-rah. I mean, they get excited, of course, as they should, but they just, I think they've latched on to the goal of going undefeated and doing well in the playoffs, and they have just responded excellently. And again, after trailing 3-0, they just took the same attitude tonight and just quietly but steadily taking control of this game.
Moran looking to pass. The ball goes to a wide open Rue, and he can't come up with it.
That was an excellent play, excellent design. Not a good pass, but Rue was wide open.
Credit B.J. DiNatale for helping break that one up, putting the pressure on Ruane in the backfield, causing him to hurry the throw. Rue was wide open in the flat on the far side of the field. Had a first down, would have had a lot more. He was able to come up with the ball, but Ruane had to hurry the pass, throwing off the back foot. And Ruane and Rue unable to connect. So now 3rd and 8 for the Gators. Approaching 5.5 to go, 3rd quarter. And DiNatale again on the brush. And he's going to haul down Ruane way back at the 20-yard line.
How's that?
That's a 20-yard loss. That's a 20-yard sack. Oh, gonna give him the extra yard, give him a yard at the 21. 19-yard sack for DiNatale, who's been in Ruane's face all evening.
And hands DiNatale with the hands tackle. Grasped hold of that shirt and held on for dear life. He's done an excellent job all year, and a big-time sack, a loss of 19. And Penn Hills with a 16-point lead. We approach 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Definitely with momentum, another great opportunity at some good field position for the Big Red.
The Indians with the return team out. Nice kick. Fumbled by Thompson at the 45. He comes up with it. And that's where the Indians will take over, and Strader and Thompson staying in. Well, Thompson staying in. With 4:45 to go 3rd quarter on a cold and blustery almost. Well, it's like I said, it's blustery, it's windy.
Yeah, the flag across the field is Penn Hills is driving right into the wind. It is pretty much straight out. So we can definitely windy here in the valley where we play at Andrew Uhas Stadium.
Oh, what banner does wave. Dwayne Thompson fights for 3.
No ramparts, however, on this evening, Bill.
The ROTC unit somewhere.
Yeah, have them get us some wood so we can light it on fire. It's definitely chilly out here. The only other night that has been chilly, and I'm sure the players like it because to them, they're out there hustling and they probably don't feel it, but for fans and other accoutramented people, a little bit nippy, but football weather nonetheless, and we thank our lucky stars because we had great weather all year.
Oh, the only other cold evening is Thompson picks up a yard.
With Plum.
Plum. When it rained all day, unfortunately it quit before game time.
You can't really complain about the weather because it has been at least good on football nights, and
I'll say for the Fox Chapel game.
Safe for that game, right? So we'll take 9 out of 10.
Of course, last season it didn't rain at all last year either. Rained before the North Hills game, but it stopped well before game time. So the weather the last 2 seasons has been fabulous for football. And it's Strader up the middle, runs into the official. Strader fights off the block of the back judge and picks up the first down.
Still gets the first down, and he might have a lot more, but it didn't. At least it didn't get him out of harm's way to not get the first down. But he might have had a big gainer. But nonetheless, a first down. And that happens when you have the the umpire. He's right there in the thick of things.
I'm sorry, there was an official behind him. So it's Strader again, fighting for 6.
Dwayne Thompson, I have 101 yards. 101.
Needs, officially 8 more.
And I'll tabulate Victor Strader here. His a little more adding for Victor Strader.
So it's Hoggy and Dwayne, I formation.
Victor
Dina
Strader
Talley and Germany split.
Victor Strader has an even 100 yards.
And it's Dwayne Thompson over the right side, fights for a hard 1. So now it'll be 3rd and 3. I'll see what the Indians come up with.
And if you throw in Garrett Livingston has 42 yards on only 2 carries. So that's an outstanding, almost 250 yards for that Shrika.
So you said Strader and Thompson each with
I have
100 yards.
Thompson now with 103, and I have Strader at an even 100.
So Dwayne needs 6 for 1,000. Victor needs 19. And Dwayne picks up 6 yards. So he picks up the first down. And unofficially, that should put him at 1,000. And there goes Dwayne up the middle again for another 6, it looks like. There comes Victor in. Out comes Dwayne.
Those two have been an outstanding combination all year long. We're talking about them getting close to 1,000 yards. So 2,000 yards between your top runners, sharing the limelight pretty much equally. And they are outstanding, and both only juniors.
Augie Livingston up the gut. Third quarter winding down with 39 seconds. So you have about, what, 115 now for Thompson? Strader and Livingston split.
115 exactly.
Split to Strader on the near side, fights up the middle. There goes Victor Strader spinning inside the 10, still on his feet. Victor Strader down to the 5. Oh my! The prettiest 15 yards you'll ever see. Victor Strader fought off all 11 defensemen. At least twice. And gets it to the 5, 1st and goal. That'll be the final play of the third quarter.
Spell that determination with a capital D.
Holy cow, what a run by Victor Strader to close out the third quarter. 12 minutes to go in the regular season. Penn Hills 19. Gateway 3. You're watching Penn Hills Indians football 95. Fourth quarter about to begin. 1st and goal from the 5 for the Indians. Thompson back in behind Graham and Gibson. Pitch to Dwayne. TDDT crosses the 5 and not much more. It's like he'll get a breather, and Strader will come back in. No, he won't.
You wanted to.
So we're going to call it no gain for Thompson, who, according to our stats, has picked up 1,000. And there goes Dwayne up the middle, down close to the goal line. Comes up just short, picks up 4. Almost touchdown number
15 rushing, 16 overall. That would have been .96. He's in the game. And
if he's able to pick up the extra yard. We'll see if Gibson gets it. Nope, it's Dwayne. Touchdown. Thompson picks up the final 5 on 3 carries. So now Penn Hills 25, Gateway 3.
5 minutes, 51 seconds on the most impressive, i.e. the longest drive of the evening for Penn Hills. 13 plays. It takes the Big Red to go 55 yards, and 1 minute and 6 seconds into quarter number 4. They have upped their lead to 22 points.
Indians going for 2 again. Strader and Gibson in front of Graham, and it's Strader. Victor Strader running laterally into the end zone for the conversion. Victor Strader makes it 27-3. And those 3 yards will not count towards his rushing yard.
They do not.
Unfortunately.
But the points count. And
the points do, and those are adding up for Strader.
Those are kind of arguments you want to get into. Should those yardage count?
Yeah, I think they should because they result in points.
And if you run it, it does count as points on the game, so I don't know.
So 10:54 to go, 4th quarter. The Indians up 27-3. Next week the playoffs begin. And we are hoping to bring you television coverage of the Penn Hills Indians playoffs games. Unfortunately, the WPIAL puts confiscatory restraints on television coverage, and we are looking for sponsors to help us bring these games to you. Sponsors in the forms of advertisers. Contact any booster. Hopefully we'll, and we'll re-kick it. We'll be able to bring you coverage of the Penn Hills Indians through the playoffs. Contact any booster or John Zakia. Number will be put on the screen. So watch for it. Long kickoff by Zakia again into the end zone.
On the fly. On the fly.
That it was. Gators take over at the 20.
And when you contact John Zakia, tell him his son did a great job on that kickoff.
Absolutely.
How about 62 yards on the fly? Thumbs up to Dave.
Absolutely. Of course, the boosters would like to thank all those advertisers who have participated in the programs of the season. Especially those who have watched full-page ads like Bill Knott. The Wax Man. Part of the Indians training staff.
If you're looking for a position on the school, well, the Penn Hills cheerleaders have decided it's in the bag, and they brought out the 10-0 sign. Only I believe it's the second time in Penn Hills history they've been
Not since 1976 when they won their first football championship.
This would be the second undefeated, untied team in Penn Hills history.
But the Gators are having something to say with it. That's Nate Rebar, the senior. Not since 1976. They went 10-0 and beat, I believe, Butler for the first Whitfield championship. Must say there was a Navari on that team, Bob.
Must say I was 11 when that happened. They give away my age. Probably didn't know where Penn Hills was at that time.
And Mr. Rebar meet Mr. Gibson in the backfield. Come on, Gibson. Draws Rebar for a loss of 3. My big brother was on that team, Rich Navari. It's like the Gators have brought in some subs. There's Ruane's pass just out of the reach of Justin Davis on the far side.
My paper is blown away, so I got to do this playoff thing from memory. You should be scared. I don't know where it is, but it's gone.
We can mention it now. The Indians, victory tonight, they will be the #1 seed.
They would be the #1 seed, but we talked about the clinchings. Penn Hills and Plum in the Quad East, Upper St. Clair and Ringgold in the Quad South, and the two #1 teams, Quad North Seneca and Quad West Upper St. Clair.
Right.
Those are definites. As Ray needs a timeout, and he was sympathetic to our plight, so now we
can get into it.
Actually, tonight we had two halftime scores. North Allegheny leading North Hills 9-7, and Butler and Seneca Valley were tied at 0 at the half. So the situation in the Quad North is, if North Allegheny beats North Hills, they are in as the 2nd seed. But if North Allegheny loses, North Hills wins, and Butler loses, North Hills is the 2nd team in the Quad North. But if Butler wins, North Hills wins, and Shaler beats Indiana, it would come down to Gardner points. And coming into tonight, North Hills had a 21-19 lead in Gardner points.
So what if Indiana beats Shaler?
Then I think North Hills would be in.
So either way, North Hills wins, they're in.
No. Depends on the scores of the games.
Oh, it does. Okay.
In the Quad South, the winner of the game between Norwin and Greensburg-Salem is in. Much simpler in the Quad South.
No ifs, ands, or buts. So we'll predict the matchups after this play ball. I'll give you mine. My predictions. I believe they're about the same as yours. Moran looking to pass. Here comes King Jeremy in. The ball is in and out of the hands of Justin Davis. Almost intercepted, but what a nice catch that would have been. Now bringing up 4th down for the Gators. They bring in the punting unit. You're looking for your playoffs paper.
I have the Gardner points explained on that too. I have that somewhere else in the great abyss that is my briefcase, but I don't feel like getting it out right now. But Gardner points comes down to basically what Gardner points is their tie-breaking system is it involves wins of conference opponents, and also it has to do with point differential in the victories. Doesn't really matter.
No, I have to commend you. You did a nice job of it. Photocopying it, enlarging it. That's very professional. The boots, not so high, not so deep. Indians let it bounce, gets a nice Gator roll down to the 31. That's where they'll take over. We'll see if Victor Strader comes in. By our counts, he needs 3 yards for 1,000. And see Victor Strader out there. So my prediction basically is this. The Penn Hills Indians, if they seed #1, will play the winner of the Greensburg-Salem-Norwin game.
Agreed.
The second runner-up, or second, seed 2, obviously, I believe would be Seneca Valley. 3rd seed, Upper St. Clair. 4th seed, Penn Trafford.
Here's where we disagree.
You believe Upper St. Clair gets a 4th seed?
Upper St. Clair 2.
You think Upper St. Clair gets 2 over Seneca Valley?
Yes.
There's Victor Strader over the right side, picks up 4 yards. That should be enough for 1,000. See if he gets a few more just to make certain. There's the announcement from Don Ireland. But anyway, I believe Seneca Valley will be 2. Seneca Valley beat North Allegheny. North Allegheny beats Upper St. Clair. And basically would be the reason for that one. But, Ace is, the WPIAL has done things differently. But anyway, a lot of folks think North Allegheny would be ranked 5th as the 5th seed, which I think the argument would be probably right that they should be the 5th seed. But I think the Plum Mustangs will get the 5th seed and put in the same bracket as the Penn Hills Indians.
See, but then if you go by my thinking, you have Seneca Valley as the 3rd seed. They couldn't play North Allegheny, so North Allegheny would have to be the 7th seed.
Oh, okay. You have a point there, Bob. You would have to make that. Okay. So Lenny Gilmer with the keeper on the right side. And he's stuck at midfield. So by our thinking, we would have Penn Hills, Penn Trafford, Plum, and the Greensburg-Salem-Norwin winner in one bracket. Seneca Valley, North Allegheny, Upper St. Clair, and Ringgold in the opposite bracket.
We would have Seneca Valley playing Ringgold.
And Upper St. Clair playing North Allegheny.
Correct. Good matchup in round one, but would they do that?
Boy.
And then we'd have Penn Hills obviously matching up against the Quad South, second place, and Penn Trafford playing Plum.
Damian Germany with the keeper fumbles it. The ball's still on the ground, picked up by the Gators. And keeping possession for the Gators, number 33, Nate Rebar. It looked like he carried the ball on his back for a spell. First turnover on the night for the Indians. And the Gators take over at the Indian 24 with 5:47 to go, or 6:47 to go, excuse me. We saw that last week. The end around to Germany would pick up 17 yards. This on the ball appearing to be a little too slick.
Yeah, not a good exchange. And first turnover of the evening for the Indians, 2 for Gateway. And they're going to have to get tough. 6.5 minutes on the clock. And they allowed only the opening drive field goal to the Gateway Gators, and we got a reverse
Double
pass.
reverse pass. Davis's pass going down. In and out of the hands of the goal line of Bobby Backus.
Thought he
Threw in
had
a
it.
quadruple covers. He did have it. Went in and out of his. He had it, and he dropped it. But although he did have 4 Indians around him, which may have caused him to take his eyes off the ball for that half second and let it go through his hands. But still, nice play by the Gators. The pass was there. Not only can Justin Davis catch, he can throw.
Now we see some substitutions in the game for the Indians. Sean Booterball, for one, is coming to play on the defensive line.
And Dina Talley and Jeremy George bring Ruane down for a loss back to the 30. Also, Donnie Chichilla in at linebacker. Or excuse me, he's into the secondary. Justin Cole now comes in to relieve Dwayne Thompson.
And the little man, outstanding job. And it was a well-deserved round of applause that both Thompson and Strader got a little bit ago. And this whole team deserves a great round of applause.
And the Indians take time out as 12 men are on the field. Nick Brown comes in. Jeremy George gets the breather. Indians starting to pull out the seniors, or the starters, excuse me, with 5:47 to go. So Strader and Thompson did what they wanted to do. We talked to them on the coach's corner. Saw that before the game. They're hoping to win tonight. They're also hoping to each go over 1,000 yards in the regular season, and they have done that. And they've done it in 10 games, but with less than 9 games worth of playing time. Did sit out the last two second halves, which would account for a game.
And Thompson missed the entire game offensively against North Hills.
So he's done it in 8. Of course, don't forget Victor Strader's also pulled in a 51-yard pass. Morane's throwing. There's Nick Browner on the backside, slips. And the pass, too far for Davis. Flags fly as Germany and Davis collide.
That'll be the first down of the second half. And
for Gateway.
what did Marv Levy say one time? You over-officious jerk. I'm not casting any aspersions there, but
You're just quoting Marv Levy.
I'm just quoting Marv Levy.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was over-officious.
There was double coverage. One man was looking at the ball, and Germany's not looking at the ball. He's concentrating on the numbers. And it didn't.
The ball's overthrown, and he gets
didn't put
hit.
his forearm into the head or anything, but
Just bump shoulder to shoulder.
they saw fit to flag him for 15 yards.
Well,
and personal foul.
as defensive coordinator Tim Timko would say, he's playing with moxie.
Moxie is the word I was looking for. Moxie is what the Penn Hills coaching staff had brought up earlier, and since that time, they've played with moxie and intelligence.
The Indians bring the blitz, and it's Gibson bringing Ruane down in the backfield. And does Gators call timeout? Oh, it was 4th down, excuse me.
Yeah, the 15 yards did not. That was my mistake.
It was short of the first down.
Short of the first down.
So the Indians will take over.
because of the loss of on the play. Actually, there were 3 losses in a row. And first down brought it close, but they fell short. Penn Hills gets it with about 5.5 to go in the ball game, and
Victor Strader comes out. Teddy Fitzpatrick comes out. Kevin McCoy comes out.
Sure, we'll see Nick Brown and his band of renown in there. Although Hoggy's still in there, and he hasn't had a good game. 3 carries and 47 yards.
Randy Parker takes over for Jared Smith at center. Corey Connors, is that Connors? And it is, the Piglets at right guard, flanked by the slender Anthony DiMaria. Ronnie Graham still in. On the left side, Sean Buterbaugh, left guard. And he is flanked by Scott Caravan.
Russ Gratton is out asking, should it have been a first down? The play started at the 40-yard line. The original drive started at the 25, so the 15-yard penalty took it to the 25, back to the original line of scrimmage.
Gratton might have thought that was first down.
They were looking at the wrong stick, and maybe he thought it was an automatic first down on the personal foul penalty.
So they got the 15 yards on the personal foul call, but it wasn't enough for a first down. As Nick Brown spins over the line. Brown was over 100 last week. And if flags don't fly on that one, which they don't. Anthony DiMaria knocked down after the play by James Eathorn. So the clock's rolling. We got about 4:45 to go.
Penn Hills
Justin Cole split to the near side.
securely in front with 27 unanswered points this evening.
And again, it's Brown fighting for a couple. Is that John Brentley in at the up back position? That was John Davidson. Out comes Brown. In goes Mike Livingston. There comes Jeremy George and Craig Gilmer. Out comes Craig Gilmer.
Who's confused?
And in the backfield is Ben Crowney. It's Crowney with the carry. Now 4th down for the Indians. See what they do. They even know it's 4th down. It's 4th and 3 at the 25.
They're going to let the clock run to take time out.
And they'll take the delay and then punt.
Either delay or timeout.
I'll take the delay. Heck. Well, they could take the timeout too. I guess it's 6-1, half a dozen or another.
Yeah, they're taking
Delay will give them the 5 yards.
They're taking the
Yes,
delay.
they will take the delay, and they'll probably bring it. Yeah, they'll bring in the punting unit. We'll see if it's Zakia or Maben doing the punting. It's Lamont Maben. So the Indians let the clock run down to 3:17 to go here, 4th quarter. The Indians up 20 by 24, 27-3. Indians scoring 27 consecutive points. Timeout now called by the Indians. We were both right, Bob.
Well, they took the time, extra time, and then they take the time out to organize things. But the delay took the extra time off the clock.
Once again, I want to remind any business owners maybe watching that next week starts the WPIAL playoffs, and the WPIAL puts confiscatory restraints on organizations like ours who like to broadcast these high school games for yourself, as we are doing for the Penn Hills Indians. Many of you would like to sponsor, as basically would come down to would be purchase commercial advertisement time during the broadcast through the playoffs to help us basically pay the WPIAL their broadcast rights fees. Please contact any booster. John Zakia is the man you want to talk to.
I'm proud of you for saying the word confiscatory.
Oh, thank you.
And using it in the correct contents of the sentence.
There are confiscatory restraints as Maven fumbles a snap. And it looks like he should be in for a safety, but he's going to be marked down at the 1. So knee came down before the ball called over the goal line. They're going to mark him at the 2. The coaches try to teach punters, you're going to be brought down back closer to the goal line, run into the end zone. Take the 2 points instead of giving them Almost a gimme touchdown. We'll see what the Indian defense does. Gibson in at nose tackle, flanked by Connors and Buterbaugh.
Another timeout for
the
Penn
Indians
Hills.
call timeout.
This game has suddenly become quagmire.
I think the Indians are trying to figure out the people they want in. They had 10 men in it.
That's what they had, 10 men, and they have a split between the number 1 and 2 units.
Brad Sarchik comes in to complete the ensemble. But then again, hopefully some businesses or even individuals will come forward and help us make these broadcasts possible through the playoffs. Of course, I'd personally like to thank the folks at the Penn Hills Sports Shop in the Municipal Plaza across from the police station for the sweatshirts that we wore. The pregame you saw on us is the Indians score a touchdown. Gateway scores a touchdown.
They came in handy tonight.
Oh, came in handy, Army, Chesty, everywhere. The Gators make it 27-9 with 2:45 to go as Ruane on the keeper. We'll see if the Gators go for 1 or 2. Now it's merely cosmetic at this point.
I see they burned in the place kicker.
But you would think if you want to get back into the football game.
What difference would it make?
Well, 1 point will put you down by 27 where you still need 3 scores. You go for the 2-point conversion, you might be down by 16 where you only need the 2 touchdowns. Oh, and they do go for 2. And the ball thrown to nobody, flags fly. Looks like the call is going to go against Damien Germany. The officials say he restrained Josh Rue and his ability to get to the pass.
That'll move him a yard and a half closer.
Rue cut inside, the pass went outside, so catchability, I guess, counts for nothing.
They tried the same thing, but Rain pulls it down and looked to me like he got in.
And he did get in. He bobbled the snap, pulled it down, and fortunately for him, he was only a yard and a half from the goal line, but he pulls it in to make it 27-11. As the cheerleaders unfurl the big beast of the East.
You got
Big
that
Red,
right.
the Quad A champs. There it is.
Yeah, they were unfurling it, then furling it again.
Well,
They knew they were the lights of Broadway were upon them. And there you see it backwards. And they should celebrate because, as we talked about earlier,
it's been almost 20 years since an Indian team went 10-0.
it's a very tough thing to do over a long haul, especially in a tough conference like the Quad East. Hats off to this coaching staff, this program, and especially these players.
Certainly hope to see everybody out here at U-Haul Stadium next Friday night. So we're going to assume it's going to be Friday night. Should be.
If it's like tonight next week, wear your LJs, please.
That would be the Long Johns in code. Gators try the onside kick. Ball is loose. Looks like the Indians come up with it. If they do, it would be Chris Zeller.
I don't think Chris Zeller is the man on it. Yes,
And he
was.
does.
That was kind of scary. That ball was bouncing way further than it should have.
So the Indians will take over 1st and 10. Clock rolling, approaching 2:40 to go in the game. And we have confirmed that Thompson and Strader each have achieved the 1,000-yard mark. Oh, the Gators call timeout.
Well, they should then have 9 players on the field. That's not a good start to a defensive series with only 9 players on the field.
You don't want to give an offense like the Indians that extra advantage. Of course, I see the North Allegheny scouting team has left the building.
And who knows? The only thing we can't tell you for sure, and it would be a travesty if Penn Hills is not the #1 seed.
How could they not? They would be the only undefeated team.
Other than that, you don't know what's going to happen, who's going to get seeded where. The only other thing for sure is that Penn Hills will be at home next week. Upper St. Clair will be at home, regardless of who these teams play.
Penn Trafford
will be at home, and Seneca Valley. Well, Seneca Valley
won the conference, so there will be games at Penn Hills.
They were tied with Butler, but that just has a bearing on who would be the second qualifier from the north.
So games will be in Upper St. Clair, Harrison City, Harmony, and Penn Hills. And the Gators call back-to-back timeouts. Is that legal?
Of course it is. That's only illegal in basketball. Well, I know we're talking about this playoff situation again, so they're opportunistic.
Yes, they are. Let them.
And then after that, should the teams who win in the first round, all second-round sites are at neutral sites, and then
Of course, let's put this one to you.
finals are at the stadium.
Let's play devil's advocate and say Penn Hills and Plum make it to round 2. Where is the neutral site game? They usually try to make them between the two.
So we could probably play in the parking lot at your complex.
Could be. Why not? Play side.
You're going to have to go.
The oak trees at the end of the parking lot.
You wouldn't go anywhere in this area. You'd have to move it out of the area.
My guess probably would maybe see if played at Gateway.
Gateway might be an opportunity.
Maybe even Valley.
You know what? Valley has played host to many playoff games.
In fact, that was Dan Marino's last high school game was played at Valley. Mike Livingston with the carry. All right, Bob, can you tell me who he played?
What was the question again?
Dan Marino's last high school game was at Valley High School Stadium.
Against Penn Hills.
Very
Come
good.
on
Very
now.
good, Bob.
You didn't have to prod me either because we talked about it when Penn Hills played Central.
I'm just making sure you listen to me.
Because you saw my head was down writing.
Eric Haddon picks up a couple. Bring up third down for the Indians. Picks up one.
So it's anyone's guess. I was thinking of possible second-round games. Should Penn Hills play Seneca, I think the golden opportunity would be at North Allegheny.
That would be.
But who knows? The teams have to get there, and we'll see how they're seeded in. Obviously, they have to win.
Ball loose on the ground. Carrying it was number 48, Sally Grice. And he drops it. Flags fly. As the feet come up and over. Josh Ruane. The Gators come up with it. And we've got an official.
Penn Hills recovered
Oh,
at the 36, or at the 49, excuse me, and dead ball, personal foul, Gateway. That's a first down.
So Russ Gratton will remain winless against the Penn Hills Indians. But, you know, give Gratton and his coaching staff and the entire Gateway Gator team credit. They've had an excellent season. I mean, they really have. I don't think they've won in like 6 years before this. And they're going to drop to 5-5, 3-4 in the Quad East. Coming into tonight, all their losses combined were by a combined 16 points before they're trailing the Indians tonight by that number, 16 points. But they've had a heck of a season. They really have. They put life back into the Gateway program. As Sally Grice busts off the right side for not much. 40 seconds remaining in the regular season. The Indians will go to 10-0. The only undefeated team in Quad A will remain number 1 in the WPIAL, number 1 in the state. Last I heard, I believe, number 5 in the country.
Definitely in the top 10. We'll check on that during the week. I've heard several conflicting reports, but definitely in the top 10 in the nation.
Sally Grace fighting for some more tough yardage. And that'll do it for the game. Balloons fly, hands go up. As we tick off the remaining 5 seconds. And that'll do it. The final score, the Penn Hills Indians 27. The Gateway Gators 11. The Penn Hills Indians 10-0. Undefeated on the 1995 regular season. You've been watching Penn Hills Indians football 95.
The Penn Hills Indians wrap up their first perfect season in over almost 20 years, in 19 years. Since 1976, the Indians moved to 10-0 with a 27-11 victory over the Gateway Gators tonight here at UHA Stadium. And Bob, from here it's the playoffs, but tonight the Indians did some business and went to 10-0.
Indeed, that was the goal coming in, the goal when you start the season. And sometimes it's easier said than done, but the Penn Hills Indians, as we talked about during the game, took a very business-like approach to getting it done, and especially tonight. They trailed 3-0 after the opening drive. Just took over. They scored 27 unanswered points, and a great job as all year. Dwayne Thompson and Victor Schrader both over 1,000 yards, and coincidentally both with 122 yards rushing. So a great job by those two, and a great job by this team overall, and it ended a great season, the great regular season. Now we get season number 2 coming at you.
Season I. As you said, it was the rushing that turned the game around tonight for the Indians. It's been the rushing all year long, but it's Thompson, Schrader. But probably one of the biggest plays tonight was off to probably the forgotten back, Hoggy Livingston.
Yeah, Garrett Livingston, on that drive, it was the first touchdown drive of the game. 2 plays before the touchdown were both Victor Schrader off tackle for 17 yards and 12 yards, and they were both on delayed handoffs. Livingston took the quick handoff up the gut, one for the first touchdown. Penn Hills seized the momentum right there, and from that point, there was no looking back. And defensively, they played a steady job, really not giving up any points until a fumbled punt snap late in the game set up Gateway at the Penn Hills too. But another outstanding job by this team, and a great victory. Now we have to wait till Monday night to find out who they will be playing. We know for sure that they will be playing here next week at UHA Stadium.
The Indians are 10-0 until Monday night, whenever they find out who they will be paired off against next week. It's either going to be actually Ringgold or the Greensburg-Salem winner for tonight. But the record next week will be scoreless, but they'll be playing here at UHA Stadium, hopefully before the home folks. But it's a different type of atmosphere once you hit the playoffs.
Indeed, we said season number 2, and anything can happen. You pull out all the stops in the playoffs. After tonight and tomorrow's game, only 8 teams in each conference, 8 teams in the Quad A will be in, and it's anything can happen. The only thing we know for sure are the 4 first-place finishers. Of course, by Monday we will know everything, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Getting there is a long haul. Getting through the playoffs, another long haul. Even though it's 3 weeks, it's a difficult road.
We would be remiss if we didn't mention this. Over the summer, one of the coaches, Jim Type Jr., passed away, and the Indians dedicated the season to him, and they promptly went to 10-0, as they've been saying all season for Jim. And after the game tonight, they had a nice presentation of the game ball.
They did. They brought out Mr. Type, Jim Type's father. We mentioned not only a coach on this team, but also a Penn Hills graduate and a former player of the Penn Hills Indians was Jim Type, and you mentioned he passed away. Got the game ball, a very well-deserved ceremony after the season. And what a better way to go into a season dedicated to the memory of a deceased former coach, player, and alumni. And to go 10-0, that's just a perfect ending to his perfect regular season.
Well, as the folks of the Penn Hills Indians would say, we have 3 more games to win for Jim. And it all starts next Friday night right here at UHA Stadium, round 1 of the playoffs, the Penn Hills and TBA. We'll know by the time this comes on Tuesday night, but we'll find out. We'll check the papers and let you know. From our broadcast partner, Bob Orquist, also for Patty, our cameraman down in the field, and also producer Kevin Burke tonight. We'll see you again next Friday night as it's the playoffs. The Penn Hills Indians moving on, hopefully, to Three River Stadium. You've been watching Penn Hills Indians football 95.